My sense is that there is a widespread recognition, not just among the expert community, but in the U.S. media, experts on Capitol Hill, et cetera, that the Singapore summit was highly problematic, that it has not produced what the leaders said it would produce, or at least the American leaders said it would produce, which was major steps in the direction of denuclearization. And so, quite frankly, for that reason alone, the United States, I think, has an interest in doing something significant, doing something that could be pointed to as a major step forward in the area of denuclearization. The steps that have been taken so far have amounted to essentially a freeze on elements of the North Korean nuclear and missile programs, programs that, according to the North Koreans themselves, had already reached their goals. So the essence of what has happened so far is that North Korea is not testing nuclear weapons and missiles, but that's it. So it's going to have to be something beyond that. My guess is that the North Koreans are not going to be in a position to do something like shutting down the Yongbyon complex or bringing the IAEA back into Yongbyon to establish oversight of what's going on there. I don't think you're going to see the North Koreans providing a list of all their nuclear facilities, et cetera. So it'll have to be something else. My guess is that the easiest thing for the North Koreans to put on the table right now would be a proposal to freeze and possibly dismantle a significant element of their program, for example, their ICBM program. And if you've been listening very carefully to Secretary Pompeo lately, he has said some things that lead me to believe that that may be one of the things that they're focused on here. So it would be some measure or measures that the North Koreans would take to end the threat posed by North Korean long-range ballistic missiles to the United States. I think it is unfortunate that both the U.S. administration and the ROK administration has portrayed the commitments that have been obtained from North Korea as commitments to denuclearize as we define that word. But it is true that both Washington and Seoul have sought to do that, each for its own reason. I would like to think that neither President Trump nor President Moon really believe that the commitments that they have are commitments to denuclearize as we define it. I hope they don't really believe that. I certainly don't believe it. I am hard-pressed to think of any North Korea expert or specialist I know who believes that. The North Koreans have no intention whatsoever of giving up their nuclear weapons, if at all possible. I think the pace, the intensity, the scope of North-South activities over the last year has obviously raised some concerns in Washington as to whether it may be outpacing what the diplomatic and political realities can actually sustain. I think Americans, especially official Americans, have a pretty clear understanding of nationalism, the sense of history, the emotions, and all of the other factors that are driving this. We get that and understand that. But there is this nervousness about the pace and scope of the process. And the thing that makes me personally nervous is that if you look very carefully at what Kim Jong-un has said in his last two New Year's speeches, it's very clear that one of his goals is to drive a wedge between the United States and the Republic of Korea and our alliance here. He's made it very explicit, particularly this year, in which he laid down some very specific markers. That makes me nervous. And I think it's going to require a very high level of U.S. ROK coordination, and it's going to require a very canny approach by South Korea to make sure that the North Koreans don't take advantage of all of those emotions and all of the thinking that's driving South Korea's policy and that South Korea is not taken advantage of by the North Koreans.